Hi there, and welcome back to Coffee Chat Etc. podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Cox, and today we're joined by Sheryn Senn for a powerful and deeply personal conversation in Sheryn's journey replacing the girl others built. In this episode, Sheryn shares her journey of growing up feeling silenced, navigating family trauma, emotional abuse, people-pleasing, and ultimately finding her voice, reclaiming her identity and stepping into the woman she was always meant to be. But before we begin, as usual, I'd like to share an important note with our listeners. This episode contains discussions around sensitive topics, including child abuse, family trauma, emotional and psychological abuse. Some of these conversations may be difficult or triggering for certain listeners, and if it is, then please take care of yourself whilst listening and know that if anything discussed in this episode affects you personally, support is available, and I encourage you to reach out to a trusted person, support network, or qualified professional if you need help. So, grab yourself a coffee, get comfy, and let's start. Hi, and welcome, Sheryn. We've got you in the studio today. How are you doing, Sheryn?
Great, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's lovely to see you. And
You
and
as
I know,
well.
thank you. And you've come on here to tell us your story today, which resonates with me a little bit, to be fair, about my past. But I'm really interested and intrigued and honoured to have you here today to tell your story. So where would you like to start?
Well, I can start at the beginning.
Yep, that's always a good place.
So I was raised in a home that was very traditional, conservative, 3 siblings that I had, and I was the misfit. I was the one that was always the, speaking up and standing up for myself and
Sure.
was silenced for being that way.
Yeah.
So I think that really started the rest of my life, the trajectory for the rest of my life, by dealing with that and really trying, learning to silence my voice and that I wasn't allowed to speak up and be my real self in order to try and fit in and be loved by my parents, by other people.
Yeah.
And so that made it very difficult.
And that's really hard as well because you're suppressed and oppressed. I don't know about you, but did it make you go within?
It really did. Yes, for sure. I started being, I was very shy. I was watching everything that came out of my mouth was really thought about before I said it because I knew that there were consequences if I didn't say the right thing.
Right.
And so it was really, really tough because I'm a very vibrant, energetic person normally. And that's how I was as a child to begin with until that happened. And then it was just like I felt suffocated. And
what age
silenced.
were you then, Sheryn?
I would say probably 10 to 12 would be the age where it began, because I think that's when you start to really, feel comfortable and kind of start to figure out who you are and things like that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that must have been really difficult for you. Were your siblings treated differently?
Yes. Excuse me. So that was the thing is like I was, what do you call it? Like, oh my gosh, the words escaping me.
Discriminated.
Like it was
against?
just me and because I was the one that spoke up and my other siblings would just go along with whatever was supposed to be. They basically, I felt like they kind of knew the rules and the game from the beginning per se. And so I was the outsider and, and then made to feel, like that was the truth. Like there was something wrong with me.
Right. Okay. And were you a bit of a rebel at that time, or was it just something that, you were strong within yourself and you just disagreed with what was happening?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that I was not a rebel at all. I was just trying to be me and being this outgoing, outspoken person that was like, wait, there's something wrong here. Like this isn't right. And so I would speak up for myself and things like that. And and I was a good girl. Like that was the thing. I was like, oh my gosh, like I know kids that are doing so many terrible things and, and I'm not doing any of that. And yet I'm still being made to feel like there's something wrong with me.
And do you think that was your parents projecting what they wanted, the control maybe of who they thought that their children were going to be?
I think so. I think it was definitely something that they felt really strongly about, that this is, our family, this is our home, and this is who you will be and continue to be. And that continued actually throughout my entire life. Even as adults, they still controlled us, threatened me, verbally abused me, right up until I finally was able to say enough is enough.
And what kind of things were they incriminating you for? What kind of things were they saying, yeah, that's not acceptable, we're not doing that?
Yeah, just because I had started my own life, I had my own kids and my own family. And so
Okay.
it would be simple things like, oh, we're not going to come on Christmas Day this year because we want to be home with the kids and let
Okay.
them be able to be home. So instead of coming to your house, like, can we do it a different day? The
Right.
day
Okay.
after. Oh, no, 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 no. Like, it was like, no, this is what you do. You come here this day and
Yeah.
that's the way it is. And if not, they would talk about you behind your back, talk about me to my siblings, just really be mean to me.
Yeah. And what impact did that have on you as you were growing up as well? I mean, you've spoken about treading on eggshells, overthinking about what you have to say. And that's all designed to keep you safe, isn't it?
Yes.
So you don't cause the disruption. That must have been so difficult for you.
It really was so difficult because I couldn't figure out for the longest time, why me? Like, why is this happening to me? It wasn't until much later in my life that I figured out, that it was them and it wasn't me and that all of those types of things. So while that was going on, it just made it really difficult. And I couldn't wait to get out of there. Like,
Yeah.
that was the one thing. I went away to college, and for the short time that I was away, I was able to be myself. And it was like I went somewhere where I didn't know anyone and started over and everything was fabulous.
Yeah.
And then it started to come back in again.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Because I think when you go away from that situation, which is suppressive, you tend to get freedom, and then you find joy and think, this is what life's about. So that must have made it very difficult then to re-enter into the home where you'd been brought up with the parent that you were with.
Right. Because
How
I
do you
thought
manage
that
that?
I was free. Yeah, I thought that I was free by being away at college, but my parents were still supporting me. My parents were paying my college bills. I still had to go
Okay.
home on the holidays and things. So I think that's why at that time it kind of came back to where I then all of a sudden was like, no, wait, like, you can't do this because you're still under the tutelage of your parents,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was very difficult to go back and forth. It was like
Yeah.
I had to act one way at home and tried to act a different way outside.
That must have been really hard. Can you give us just an example, just in your childhood as you were growing up, what they did in one situation? Is there an example that you can give us? I don't want to delve in too much if it's uncomfortable for you, but I'm just trying to visualize what that was like.
It was really just a matter of, let's say there was it was simple as I had a chore to do,
Yeah.
and I had till the end of the week to do it, and I hadn't gotten it done yet. But there was still time because I would wait till the last minute on certain chores, right? As a kid, that's how it is. And and I just remember one time, I was physically assaulted by my parents for not doing my chore, even though there was still time left for me to get it done.
Okay.
But they wanted it done. Apparently it was like they just made it up as they went along.
Right,
like
got
I
you.
thought there was a rule that I had till the end of the week, but if they decided today that they wanted it done today and it wasn't done, they could take it out on me. So I feel like now as an adult, I can see, okay, they weren't really that wasn't what they were taking out on me.
Yeah.
It was obviously something with them, but that was the excuse.
Yeah. And it feels to me like it was some form of control and anger within them as well, that you're again doing it in your time, not their time. So
Absolutely.
that must have been really difficult for you.
Yes.
So as you were growing up then and you had all of this going on, what real impact did that have on you then? I mean, it must be awful to say, but how did you feel about your parents?
Yeah, I felt that they didn't love me. I felt that, it made me think that, like I said, there was something terribly wrong with me.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I took it out on myself. Like, oh, there is something wrong with me.
Right.
But once I figured it out and figured out it wasn't me, then it did make me see them in a completely different light and see them for really who they are.
Yeah.
And it's hard because everyone says, well, they're your parents. So you should, but I'm like, exactly. They're my parents. They should love me unconditionally. They should love me, regardless of who I am. They should want me to be me. Like, it's their job to let me grow and flourish and find my own way instead of stifling me and suffocating me and silencing me. So when people say, even to this day, but they're your parents, can't you forgive them? Well, that's different, because that's exactly what I'm saying. They're my parents, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same language, isn't it? And there is
Yeah.
kind of a thing about, you can have your biological parents and then you can have your real parents, I suppose, or a figure of a parent. Was there a figure of a parent that was there to support you? I mean, who was there to support you at this time, Sheryn?
Yeah. So I had an uncle who I was very, very close with. I just
Okay.
absolutely adored him. And so he was a really nice, outside thing for me to have that experience because he made me feel special and things like that.
Yeah.
Also, I had a grandfather who made me feel very, very special when I didn't see him that often, but when I did, he always kind of almost like, would separate me from my siblings and
Okay.
tell me how special I was and everything. And that was really important. The biggest influence I had was a teacher that I
Okay. Yeah.
had in high school who really, I feel like he was the first person that really saw me for who I was and accepted me and said, "You're amazing. Like, it's okay. Like, you're going to do great. You're going to be fine. I see you for who you really are."
Yeah.
Just an incredible, incredible human. And he really taught me all about personal development and all of the things
Wow.
that I needed to move forward. Yeah.
That's brilliant because well, I just know from my experience, there wasn't a lot of people that were there for me that could give me that kind of advice. And it was something that I slipped into in my 20s by accident, actually. And that helped me recover a lot. So I'm guessing you found these books really helpful and inspirational and helped you in your journey.
Yes, absolutely. And I had no idea at the time that it would lead me to where I am today, with being
Right.
so into the personal development and now being a voice for others and to
Yeah.
help others. But he just was an incredible person and really, really, I kept in touch with him my entire life. And it was very special to have that bond with him.
Fantastic. Good. So as you growing up then, so how did you manage to kind of separate yourself from the family and everything else that was going on? Was there a stage where you went, that's it, I'm done?
Yeah, unfortunately, it took me a very long time to get to
Right.
that
Okay.
point.
How old were you?
Uh, that I got to that point,
Yeah.
probably in my mid 50s.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, now
Yeah.
I knew, and I was little by little kind of distancing myself as best as I could with still trying to keep the peace
Yeah.
because I had children and I was like, oh, these are your grandparents, and like tried to be, tried to have that family environment, but with extended family. But
Sure.
as my kids got older, they picked up on it on their own and they
Right.
distanced themselves
Okay.
and realize the difference between the home that I created
Yeah.
versus the home that I came from, that they were still seen when they would go to their grandparents for different parties and events.
Right. Got
So
you.
they were like, wait a minute, this is not right. So I was happy that they were able to do that on their own and see that for themselves. I
Yeah.
didn't have to say, listen, I didn't have to say anything. They just were able to witness it and be like, yeah, no, this isn't right. And I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
So that was really good. So little by little, I kind of just spoke with my parents less and less. And sometimes we didn't go to all the events and the parties and things like that. And then, it got to a point where finally there was an incident that occurred that just was the breaking point.
Right.
And I was just like, that's it. We're
Yeah.
done. And I became estranged from my family at that point.
Is that including your 3 siblings as well?
Yes. Well, I still have contact with my brother because he is kind of feels the same way as I do.
Yeah. Great.
But other than that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. And you found your voice as well because you then went on to write a book about it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the book called?
It's called Lost and Found: Replacing the Girl Who Others Built with the Woman I Was Born to Be.
Wow. Okay. So when
Yeah.
can you kind of say that where you found yourself again, Sheryn?
Well, I was in a marriage that was with a covert narcissistic person,
Right.
and I believe. And so when I finally, I just, after the incident with my parents, then I just really started to see clearly what was happening. And I really started studying narcissism and all of the brain and how it all works and everything, and realized what was happening to me inside that relationship and what had happened inside the relationship with my parents.
Yeah.
And really a lot of people in my life. I was a people pleaser. I was trying to always make sure that, I was abandoning myself basically my whole life, I realized.
Yeah.
And I had raised these 3 children to not be that way, who were doing amazing. And I thought that I just needed to, almost like my children inspired me by, the way they started living their lives, to be like, yeah, that's, I want to be like them again, because there were parts of my life where I had left my parents and I was flying and doing amazing, but then I kind of got sucked back in, that's what would happen.
Yeah.
And so then I just realized, well, I honestly feel like it is almost like you feel like it happens overnight, where you just all of a sudden wake up and you're like, I can't do this anymore. But really, it's been little by little by little.
Sure.
But, I like to tell this story where I feel like I woke up one morning and looked in the mirror and was like, wait a minute, who is that person? I didn't even recognize myself. I had gotten heavy and my face was all scrunched up with stress and I looked old, I felt like, and tired. And I was just like, there was no life left in me. And I thought, if I don't leave this life and start making changes, I am going to die. Like, this is the stress, everything is going to kill me at a much younger age than, it.
And that's crazy to get to that point. I think a lot of the listeners will probably resonate with that as well, because I've definitely had one of those moments where I've looked and I've thought, who are you? Because it happens to us as we get older as well, doesn't it? But there's also, I mean, I know that I went for therapy last year for a whole year, which was fantastic. And one of the things that was really poignant, because I study psychology as well, is that as adults, we tend to seek the home environment, the environment that we were brought up in as a child. So whatever environment you've been brought in, whether it's been with narcissists, whether it's been with controlling people, whether it's been chaotic, we tend to search for that in a relationship as well, or attract it rather. We don't search for it, we attract it without even knowing. And that's the unhealed part of us, isn't it?
It really is, yeah.
And I think when you start to heal yourself, then it reveals itself as to be what the truth is. So when was that kind of moment for you when you went, aha, that's it?
Yeah, so it was really about 3 years ago, maybe a little more, where I got to the point where I actually left. I mean, it had been coming, like I said, for years and years and years. I had been studying and things. And like you said, what I learned about the brain is that the reason we do keep repeating that is because our brain is built to keep us safe. So even though it seems like, well, that's not safe to be in those environments, but it's what we know. So we feel safe in it almost because it's just what we know, Yeah. So there is a level of comfort in a weird way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But when you look at other people's homes and see the calm or see the peace or see the joy, you kind of go, okay, I'm living in a different world here.
Exactly. And I think that's how I felt, like I was explaining about my children. I saw them living with so much joy and purpose and just loving their lives. And I thought, okay, well, I had a part in this, which was amazing. I was able to break the cycle. And the fact that my parents weren't willing to do that in any way, shape, or form also was really eye-opening to me, because since I was able to break the cycle and not repeat it with my children, I thought, okay, well, anyone can do that. And so they were capable regardless, because a lot of times people will say, well, maybe they were raised and that's all they know or whatever. But no, like you can change it.
Yeah,
I changed it. You can change it. So that's really another thing that's eye-opening,
Yeah. And I think also, Sheryn, you were probably the one that held the mirror up to your parents' faces and said, this is wrong. This is not acceptable. And it made them feel uncomfortable. And the reason why I know that is because my daughter did the same to me, or both my daughters did the same to me. Because even though I thought I was healed and I was providing this lovely family home, they actually, through their language to me as they got older, said, Mum, this isn't normal behaviour. This needs to change. And that then took me to a place where I sought help. But I think some people aren't willing to change, and then they say, I can't change. And for me, that's not true. Just like you, anyone can change in a heartbeat. It's just, getting the help that you need. So so how did that change the I can't say the word, the trajectory of your life?
Oh my goodness. I mean, honestly, I write about this in my book, and I felt like the best analogy I can think of is I felt like I saw color for the first time.
Fantastic.
like, really, the best way to describe it is all of a sudden I had so much joy and laughter in my life and felt so carefree. And I just was like, I had no idea life could be like this.
Wow.
Like, imagine 50 some years of living one way and then that's not good and not happy and not, of course there were moments raising my children, so many, I did have great times at times, but they were so few and far between. So,
is it like a fog that just kind of walks around with you?
Yes,
all
absolutely.
your life. Yeah, there's just something. Yeah.
Yes,
and
it's so funny you say that because my therapist at the time that I was going to, I had gone to her since I was in my 20s. She was incredible too. Yeah. Another person that had a huge impact on my life. She gave me a book called Out of the Fog. And that actually, and you just saying that reminded me, that book was really something that changed my life in that way, because I was reading it and I was like, wait a minute, how does this person know my story? Like, is she writing about me? Because word for word, it felt like I wrote it.
Wow.
Like it was my life. And I was like, just started seeing everything clearly and was like, I have to get out of here.
This is weird.
The whole life. I need to get out of this life and start another one.
Yeah. So we were talking about when the fog lifted then and you saw color. Yes. How did that impact on you then?
I mean, it was just unbelievable. And my kids were so happy for me. It just changed our entire life, I think not only mine, but also my children. I feel like it relieved a lot of stress for them from watching me suffering for so long that I didn't even realize they were seeing and noticing, unfortunately. So it was definitely huge. And it just gave me, little by little, started basically raising myself. I started talking to myself in a positive way. I started saying, you can do anything. And I would just start doing little things by myself.
Yeah.
When I left the marriage that empowered me. And I would celebrate each one and say, fantastic. You go, Sheryn, you've got this. I'm so proud of you. And was just talking to myself. And that's what really, I think, I always say, like, you build up this evidence, and that's what really changes your brain, is when you can build up evidence that you're doing opposite things of what you were struggling with and suffering with. All that. And all of a sudden your brain is like, oh, wait, and it changes completely your belief system, everything. And building that evidence, it literally, I feel like I can do anything now.
I think sometimes as well, when you release that energy, I'm a great believer in energy, healing and energy. That energy, when that goes, it brings through the authentic you. It's the real you. And that's the person that deserves to be looked after, deserves to be cared and nurtured for. And when you take on that responsibility for yourself, it's so liberating. It's so freeing. And your energy really grows and grows and grows. And you attract people into your life that can help and support you.
Yes, absolutely. You become a magnet for all good, really. I mean, of course, there's still things that come up. There's still struggles. You have to set intentions every day that that's how you are now going to be and change and live. But it just, you believe it for the first time that it's possible, that everything is possible.
Fantastic. So did that then spur you on to write the book?
Yeah. So when I left my marriage, I started writing the book. It just flowed out of me so quickly, and it was very cathartic.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And so I really wrote it in many ways for myself, but also because I felt so strongly. I had friends that I knew that were living the way I was living in relationships that, like the one I was in, and I wanted to write it for other people, other women, to know that they could do it too, that they could change their life, and let them know what it's like when you actually see the color in the other side.
Fantastic. I think that's really inspirational. And I think a lot of women in the audience as well will find that inspirational. I did download your book actually and start reading it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's really good. The bits that I've read so far. So I'll continue to do that. And from that now, I believe you are helping and inspiring other women.
Yes. So
in the same position.
Yes, absolutely. So I created a business called Dear Me, Love Me. And it's all about teaching women how to change the way to speak to themselves. So it's about fostering self-compassion and really how once you start talking to yourself in a positive way, it really can change everything. It really changes everything. Your beliefs, your brain, your system, everything.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to make sure that other women know that it is possible and you can come out the other side. And so I make different products with messages on them that speak to,
Oh, wow.
teaching you how to speak kinder to yourself.
Yeah. What kind of products do you make?
So I make hand-stamped bracelets
Oh, lovely.
right now. Yeah, and each one comes with a Dear Me, Love Me letter. So
Right. Oh,
that
wow.
goes with the statement. So basically you can read it to yourself and it's as if you're talking to yourself it's in a uplifting, positive way. And you can just keep rereading that and it's going to help you start to feel that way and believe that and start talking to yourself in that way.
Fantastic. And if there's anything that you could give to other women who may have experienced a similar background or who may experiencing that kind of constant fog at the moment, what would you say to them?
Gosh,
Sorry,
really?
I've put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. I think it's really about realizing that there is no one else that has ever been created like you. There's never before has been another person like you, and there never will be again. And you have to use that power of why you were created, why you're here, and realize that there's a reason for that. And you have purpose and you have power and it's all inside of you and in your voice.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And I find that very inspirational as well. And I think you are very inspirational, Sheryn.
Oh, thank you.
Is there anything else you would like to say?
I mean, I think just, definitely if you are struggling with something like this, please know that you are not alone and that there's always someone out there that you can turn to for help and to not be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, it's been lovely having you on the show today, Sheryn. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks for
and
having
take
me.
Care. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here and for choosing to be part of this journey today. I believe that together we can create a community where women uplift, support, and empower one another. If this resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe to my podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you'd like to connect more deeply, visit my new website, Coffee Chat, etc. If you feel that you have something you would like to contribute to future episodes, then let me know. You can join our Facebook group, Inspiration, Coffee Chat, etc. And please remember that I aim to create a safe and supportive environment for our listeners. But it is important to reiterate, some of these episodes may cover sensitive topics, including discussions around adversity, trauma, mental health, violence, and sexual references. These subjects may evoke strong emotions or trigger responses, and I urge you to seek support or professional help if you're affected by any of them. I want you to leave feeling inspired, motivated, and empowered. For now, it's a see you later, and have a great day wherever you are in the world.